we are young. Leave up your head as we sit on the wall. We are one, we are all family. Though tough times come, I will not waver. We will rise and become the new ground. We will stand up and rise together. We will march into victory. Hold my hand and they say we know I do right, it's for you as it has been for me. Open your heart and know this in your soul. Our hopes, our dreams are the same. My walk and you, I will finish this race, not alone by myself, but with you. Though tough times come, I will not waver. We will rise and become the new ground. We will stand up and rise together. We will march into victory. Hold my hand and they say we know I do right, it's for you as it has been for me. Everyone shine, all of us there is for a reason, for a greater vision. We will rise together. We will march into victory. Hold my hand and let's say we know I do right, it's for you as it has been for me. We will stand up and rise together. We will march into victory. Hold my hand and let's say we know I do right, it's for you as it has been for me.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tremendous Thursday. My name is Dante Azarmi, and I have another awesome topic for you all. Well, we all get stressed on a daily basis. Sometimes we do get stressed more than usual, all right? But at the most part, we always think to ourselves, oh my God, the world is making me stressed. That person is making me stressed. This challenge is making me stressed out. But we never sit down to think about how we can manage our own stress, how we can actually change that momentum, get that energy that's coming into you and just like tai chi it away and make it a better opportunity for yourself. So to do that, I've actually brought you a very cool topic today. All right, so let's talk about that. So here are 4 steps to overcome stress-inducing habits. All right, just jump into it. So tell me about this. Like, put it in the comment section. Why do you feel stressed? I want to get to know what you guys think about that as well. So people have, in difficult situations, they tend to be different in most cases, right? One of the cases basically being that, the person is stressed out and then they start losing focus. They think that everything is overwhelming and they can't really do it as good as they can. The other one being the second person, which is, they take the challenge in. They don't worry about it. They just take it as an opportunity and they prevail. They do really well in it. Now, a lot of the time, as I said, we tend to think that, stress is basically caused by external factors, but that is not stress. That is pressure. It's understandable. Sometimes there's too much pressure. And of course, because of the way we can't deal with that pressure, we tend to think it's stress. But the momentum of what is happening inside of you is what actually causes the difference between pressure and stress. All right. Let's talk about rumination, right? Rumination is the only step that can turn pressure or the challenges pressure that is coming into you and turn it into stress for you, right? So high levels of pressure doesn't necessarily mean stress. Now, what is rumination? What is this negative aspect that constantly turns everything into stress for us. It's basically for us to keep on thinking about the past and the future and putting a negative notion into it, and we constantly could keep on thinking about it, right? I'm pretty sure every one of you has sat down one day and just constantly started thinking about, like, oh my god, for example, I didn't do the sales, what's going to happen, I keep missing out on my sales, and you keep on thinking about that, but you don't really find yourself looking for a solution because you're constantly ruminating, you're not reflecting. And we're going to talk about what's the difference between reflection, which is good for you in terms of self analysis. What is the difference between that and rumination? All right, so let's talk about that as well. So reflection versus rumination. Now, before I jump into that, I want to tell you guys, chronic worriers, people that keep ruminating, people that keep stressing themselves out, tend to have more incidents of coronary heart diseases, and their immune functions just constantly come down. So you're not only putting yourself into a lot of stress, but you're also putting your health into jeopardy. So don't do that. Let's talk about it, and let's find a way for you to not ruminate anymore. All right. So in terms of reflection, leaders should always do reflection, but reflection is different from rumination. Rumination is ongoing, is destructive, and it kind of diminishes your health. But at the same time, reflection, that is different. This is an analytical, short-term process. This allows you to have a positive fallout. So basically what it does is that you take a moment, you take a reflection and analyze what you have done before and what are you going to do now for the future, and take a conclusion out of it. And it's not a long-term thing. You don't sit down and wallow about it. You don't have any negative notion. It's basically constructive, and it helps you go forward without any issues, right? So you really need to plan for the future and to review these lessons. So that is reflection, right? And of course, don't lose your present. A lot of the time, people tend to lose their present by actually sitting down and ruminating because of the past and the future. You cannot lose the present, because then you will not have a future. All right. So you're just putting yourself in a bad cycle if you do that. So let's find a way to not do that. Okay. Now, the first step of these 4 steps, wake up. This is very important. Not from a sleep. Of course, when you wake up in the morning and you're a type of person that ruminates, you're always in a state of waking sleep. What does that mean? Because when I get up if I'm a ruminator, if I get up from my bed and I start already thinking of all the things that is wrong with the world, of all the tasks that I need to do, all the challenges that I have, all the things that are wrong with my life, I won't even feel the way to work. I won't even feel the drive to work. I can't see the world around me. I can't see the light, the sun, the beauty, and everything of the fact that I'm alive and having a great time, and I'm just breathing in and I'm happy and healthy. I can't think about that. Half of the time, people who ruminate tend to forget their stuff everywhere, because you don't even have the time to think about what you're doing around yourself. You're just in your own head. So we need to get you out of that, right? We need to wake up and just break that chain. So in order for you to reconnect with the world, you need to wake up, but you can actually refresh your mind. How do you do that? You can either do that in the physical way, or you can do it in a mental way, right? Physical way would be just for you to stand up, have a little walk around, clap your hands, or to do a little bit of a this, for yourself, just to give yourself and your mind, like, hey, wake up. Don't get into that, right? Don't jump into that rabbit hole. That's very, very important. And then also you can do it mentally. Mentally being, you can sense something new around you, hear something, see something, smell, taste, feel. Because when you are ruminating, you kind of are like detached from the world. You can't even hear something like a jackhammer on the other side. So in order for you to do that, you got to really wake up. Now, also, you need to control your attention. When you jump into that rabbit hole of rumination, you start trapping yourself in this unproductive loop, which is basically you thinking about the past and the future, losing the present, and you have no other way around it. In order for you to do that, you need to be like a train. You need to redirect your way into a new path. And that's just what we said on the wake up side. But I want you all to sit down and do an exercise, all right? Everybody start doing a little bit of an exercise. So let's just draw a circle. Draw a circle in a paper or anything, or in your mind, all right? Just in your mind. If you don't have a paper and pen, it's fine. We'll do a little exercise with the mind, all right? Write down every single thing that you can control in your life. For example, like, cleaning up your house, doing your work and tasks and everything like that. inside that circle. Every single thing that you cannot be always, in control of, put it outside of the circle. This could be like, for, your children outside, or like, basically certain projects and works that you don't know whether or not the person is going to say yes or no to. Is a lot of things that is not in your control, right? So you cannot control what people actually want, right? If you can care about it, like you can care about those externalities, this stuff that is outside that circle, but you can't let them worry you. All right. So because it's not something, basically that, gets you into that. Right. So let's see what we have from the previous question, that like about people who have some sort. I didn't lose my present. My sis hid it under a Christmas morning. Very nice, very nice. That's funny. Okay, so we have the comedy side of our presentation today as well. I think that's the one. And of course, put things into perspective. That's very, very, very important of you. Okay, so because a lot of the time people who ruminate, we catastrophize. What does that mean? All right. Catastrophizing basically means that you take anything that is a stress that comes to you, no matter how small or big or huge it is. In your mind, it's always huge. It's a chaos of everything coming at you, and basically like you just sitting there like, I don't know what to do, right? In order for you to get out of that, you need to put things into perspective. Now, there's three techniques. The number one would be to contrast, take that momentum or whatever is happening to you and compare it with something that has happened to you before, which is kind of worse. That's one way that you can do it. For example, you'll be like, well, I had a major illness before, this doesn't seem as bad as that, So for example, for myself, I had a surgery and it was not a very good few months for me, but like now if I have a challenge in front of me, I'm like, hey, you're fine. You're healthy. You had your thing. You went through that and you're fine now, right? So that's a good way for you to change perspective. Now, the other one would be to question, right? How much will this matter in 3 years or 10 years or 5 years? That the amount is up to you. And what's the worst thing that could happen, right? This is a good question because a lot of time, like, we need to sit down and say, like, okay, look, what's the worst thing that could happen? So at least we have that notion of not worrying about it. And how can I survive? So the good part about this is that it gives you a reflection of what's going to happen and what can you do to survive in that notion, right? So it's not just a question for you to be relieved, but it also provides you with a way for you to find an answer to all these momentums and things like that, right? So reframing is another one, right? So I love reframing because, I love comedy. I love to make things a little bit more fun for everyone. And the one thing that you could probably do is what's funny about the situation, right? Bring a little bit of a comedy in your life. Laughter makes us forget stress, and the laughter helps us, decrease that stress. So that's one thing you could do. Or is there, and even better than that, is there an opportunity for me in this, right? So find something negative, and then find what can be positive about it. For example, I was doing skateboarding. This is just an example. I was doing skateboarding, and then I, did a trick and then fell down and hurt my knee, right? I hurt my knee and it hurts, but what's the opportunity that I can get that from that is basically for me to learn something. I've learned to do this and I continue to practice, and that will give me better moves in the end, right? And of course, same goes with sales. I did something wrong, and now the opportunity is for me to learn. And I have learned something, and I will move forward. Or, I've found more prospects or something like that, right? It's something that, you can get something out of an opportunity in that. Now, the last one would be to let go, right? And of course, a lot of you are going to be like, well, if it was so easy for me to let go, why would I even have to go through the first 3 steps? It's understandable, but you need to let go. And here are 3 techniques in the 4th step of our stress relieving, techniques that allow you to let go. All right. Number 1, acceptance. A lot of the time you just have to acknowledge, the situation is what it is, and, that's how it's going to be, and this acceptance actually allows your inner self to be able to, be, okay, fine. At least I know what's going on. I can move forward and basically do something that is going to be good for it, right? Or learning a lesson. Our brain most of the time needs to know that from whatever situation it was, whether bad or good, that it's learned something or has taken something away from it, so that it's something for for good for us, basically. So what we have to say is, what did I learn from this? Right? This really, really, really helps, because once you tell yourself, okay, I've learned that I need to work harder next time, or I've learned that I need to do certain formulations better next time, or I basically need to have such resources for me to be able to succeed in the next challenge, right? That helps your brain be like, okay, all right, fine. You know what? You've learned something and we can move forward now. That's a good thing, right? And the last one, and then the last one is, a lot of the time when you're ruminating, when you're stressed out, you're actually losing the, those moments. There is important times that you can actually take those times to do something about it. If you keep continuing to let the thing go and you're just sitting down and wallowing about it and just being sad, it's gonna get worse, right? So instead of leaving it to be that way, stand up and just ask yourself, what do I need to do? And just and utilize the other steps as well. One other thing that I need you guys to realize is that don't take all 4 steps, or don't just take one of them. Find out how the situation is and how you can actually utilize these techniques to overcome the situation, because there's a lot of awesome techniques here in these 4 steps, and using them will allow you to find the right situation to actually utilize them and execute that step, and it'll help you. It really will. Like in a lot of situations that I've been into, and it's been horrendous, and I actually used this, and instead of continuing to be in a bad situation, I ended up having a very, very good opportunity, and I ended up excelling instead of losing myself and decreasing my position. So that is very, very important. Now, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's super, super, very, very important for you guys to have a, self-awareness, because not just in terms of like yourself, but also in your team, because leaders need to also have a, moment to actually help their teams relieve stress. There are certain exercises that you guys can do. And at the same time, self-awareness allows you to know what's going on with your team and yourself. What do I need to change for me to be able to have a better team? Or what do I need to help my team in terms of to be able to get better? Now, this presentation has been, a reference from our, one of the Harvard Business Reviews, which is "Pressure Doesn't Have to, Turn into Stress," which is by Nicholas Petrie. Now, I love for you guys to go and check this out. It's a really good article to read. And before I, give you guys a good old thank you for joining me again this tremendous Thursday, I just want to finish it up by giving you guys a quote from Steve Maraboli, which is, "You must learn to let go. Release the stress, and because you were never in control anyway," right? It's easy to say that, and when it says it, it doesn't mean that you were never in control. It doesn't mean that you aren't in control. It just means that certain things, certain externalities should not worry you as much. You should care about them. You should be self-aware, and you should really help yourself to change. But at the same time, you should never allow yourself to just sink and sink and sink. Oh, and don't worry about reaching your hand out. Not everyone is out there to get you. In fact, people are there to help you out. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you all very, very, very much for joining us again on this tremendous Thursday. My name is Dante Azarmi, and I really do hope that you have taken something away from this presentation, and don't stress about it. There's always someone to help out. Thank you so much. Love you all. Dante Azarmi, signing out.
谁不曾有迷惘和彷徨？别怕失望，不会白走一趟，任何事都必须向前看。找几个搭档，肩和避风港，陪你哭，陪你笑，陪你闯荡。就算逆风拼命去抵抗，我们一定越战越强。不要害怕所谓的 失状，难免失去方向，谁不曾有迷惘和彷徨？
别怕失望，不会白走一趟，任何事都必须向前看。
找几个搭档，建个避风港，陪你哭，陪你笑，陪你闯荡。就算逆风拼命去抵抗，我们一定越战越强。不要害怕所谓的困难，情愿会受伤，谁甘心一辈子都平凡？
迎着风霜，必须勇敢和心中的梦想
风迎击帆，
用尽力量，肩并肩大戦场，一生纵浪。
就算逆风拼命去抵抗，我们一定越战越强。不要害怕所谓的困难，情愿会受伤，谁甘心一辈子都平凡？就算逆风拼命去抵抗，我们一定越战越强。